When the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Welcome to the best soccer show, the best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go! It's the best soccer show. Jason Davis, Jared Dubois, Nikki Soup and Sausage pushing all the buttons, making it happen. We're live for the first show of 2021. Happy New Year, bro. Happy New Year, man. How are you?
Oh, do well. I mean, I'm not happy about the fact that my 12-day hiatus from work is stopping, and tomorrow I have to look. I shaved.
I see that.
I made myself look presentable to the outside world.
You're very smooth. This
was a Christmas where my wife gave me a subtle hint by giving me nothing but hygiene products in my stocking. So,
what was the most offensive hygiene product you received from your wife?
The deodorant. She knows, and I've talked to you about this on the show. Like lately I've been on my quest to have my skin look as good as John Legend's, and I've been trying to think, like, what does John Legend use on his skin? So
he uses a consultant he pays thousands of dollars to every year. That's what he uses. Come on.
And I got to get that action somehow. So my wife is give me some nicer products.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. I didn't get any hygiene products from my wife. I didn't really get. Actually, you know what? My wife did something that she probably shouldn't have done. We talked a lot about not buying anything for each other because
that never works. I hope you saw through that ruse.
No, actually, it was fine. We spent a ton of money on the house this year. We got the baby coming very soon. I'll have an old dad FC update for you here in a second or two. But we talked about not giving each other gifts. I knew that wasn't going to fly. I got her a little something. It wasn't a crazy amount of money, just a small thing, right? She goes, well, I got you something.
Getting her a small thing for years.
I can't. Oh, no, sir. No, sir. That's not how we start the new year.
She's used to it.
We start the new. Well, I gave her something good enough that we have a child coming in about 3 or 4 weeks. So just to say that. I mean, it's out there.
Small things work too.
I know they work. It doesn't really matter. They all work. So she says, "Oh, I'm going to get you something, but it won't be here until after Christmas." And I couldn't find it, and I ultimately found it. And I probably could have told her if she had given me a hint not to go with the authentic, because the authentic is a tough fit. Okay. The authentic, she bought me a Waldo. She bought me the US men's national team jersey, an authentic version.
Where did she had to play the Pablo Maurer game and go on eBay and find it?
Yeah. Somehow she found, and she was so stressed about it. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but you shouldn't be worried about it. Don't worry about getting, it came. Again, it's authentic, so your boy needs to go on a diet in order to wear it. I can feel it, but it's not. I'm not saying it's the best look.
Slim fit.
And she got it sans number and name, so I have to send it off somewhere at some point.
And it's going to have Thiago on it, number 2, right?
We could do that. Oh, that's a nice move. You're right. Hey, by the way, hold on. Wait a second. Wait, hold on.
What?
Damn, dog.
Okay, so if you're a bestie and you listen to the bonus show and you give us a little bit of scratch on Patreon every month, you might have listened to the bonus show in which I revealed the name of my son. I hadn't said any of that publicly.
Hey, you think I can tell the difference between a bonus show and a regular show?
So you just outed the name of my child, which I haven't told anybody.
I didn't realize that was a secret. You've said it multiple times.
Okay, well, that's true. I guess I didn't tell you not to say it on the main show, but yes, that I could do.
You could have played it off that maybe you're just a Thiago Silva fan. You wish he played for the United States.
I could have said I'm like a big Liverpool fan, and I like Thiago Alcantara, and I wanted to get a U.S. men's national team with his name for some reason. Why would I do that?
And I also outed the Pablo Maurer game, a game we've only played on bonus shows so far. We haven't played on the real show yet.
That's very true. And in fact, I did let Pablo Maurer know that we play that game. And he was very happy about it, so we probably need to invite him.
Does he want a piece of it?
We need to invite him. I don't know. I don't know if Pablo's the kind of guy.
I'd be interested. What if he's like the dude that nailed? Have you seen that documentary on The Price is Right? The guy that just knew the prices on everything?
I don't think I've seen that one. No.
Yeah, the dude nails the showcases within a couple of dollars of it, right?
You think Pablo could do that with some American soccer memorabilia?
I think I would struggle to find things that he hasn't already looked at on there.
Okay. All right. Well, we're maybe that's something that we do in the future. And again, that's happening over in the bonus show, just like my kid's name only being revealed on the bonus show.
Y'all gotta get on the Patreon.
Since we're talking about it, and it is happening soon, and it's going to be like an amazing thing to happen in 2021. And we're going to do predictions on this show. I think we should talk about some current events. But if you have predictions for 2021 as an American soccer fan, make sure you hit us up in the chat. You can call us up at 717-727-2378. That's 717-727-BEST. Give us your prediction. And it doesn't have to be like, oh, the U.S. men's national team is going to win their first 2 qualifiers or something like that. It could be
that's like an exact prediction.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Most people go vague.
You could go vague. You could also go very specific. You could talk
Jared gets his first disc golf ace in 2021.
Does anybody really care about that though? Like,
dude, it would be a big deal.
I gotta get a better sound effect. That's kind of like your chosen activity. It's very like, what is it?
Played 29 holes this morning, dude.
29 holes. I think if you actually played 29 holes of golf, you would be sore. Your back would be giving you problems.
Oh, trust me, that's happening here too.
Oh, really? After 29 holes,
43, dude.
All right. Well, predictions on the program today after we talk about some current events. However, I'll give you an Old Dad FC update, and that is basically that we had the baby shower virtually on Saturday. That was like yesterday, so we had to do it virtually because it's COVID.
So you couldn't play like the Snickers in the diaper game or anything like that, huh?
Is that an actual game? Snickers?
Oh yeah, you know, where they melt different candies in diapers, and you have to put it up to your face, and it's a contest to see who can figure it out by smelling it. It looks like a wet turd in there, dude.
The last time I went to a shower in the pre-pandemic era, there was some like diapering activities, like everybody, whoever could diaper the fastest. There were some other things going on that were kind of embarrassing, physical events that were kind of embarrassing. In this case, because we were virtual and we had my wife's brother, my brother-in-law, and her friend who were kind of emceeing for us, and they were doing the bilingual thing because obviously this is a bilingual situation. We did a game where everybody had to guess how big around my wife's belly is in toilet paper squares.
That's just game as well. Yeah.
We did one where we did a little bit of
guess low, dude. Everyone else can be accurate. You got to guess low.
I didn't have a guess. We were not. I was not guessing. We did charades. I got words like hospital, which was impossible, and I think I got cravings. Somebody actually got it. So I did mine well enough to let somebody know that I was talking about cravings. If you follow me on Instagram at DavisJSN, you saw that we put the room together, the nursery together. That was part of the whole process.
Nice looking room.
And
by the way, the last 2 letters of your kid's name was in that shot, so I wasn't giving you the whole thing away.
Because everybody was going to guess the first 4 letters or 3 letters.
Maybe,
or whatever.
I don't know.
It was 4 letters. Now I got to remember how many letters in my kid's names. Also, his middle name is there too, but you didn't catch that. You don't know what that is, do you? I think I told you. Exactly. That is 100% the name I went with.
Jay Rodius.
But
Tiago Rodius Davis.
Tiago Rodius has a ring to it. I won't lie. I'll lie to you. Not Rodius. But I was just going to say, the Old Dad FC facilities are coming together. We're making a massive investment. We're preparing the next generation of talent, and it's happening right here at Old Dad FC. By the way, if you want to join Old Dad FC, you can check us out on Patreon. We're going to be putting some stuff together on that. We're going to talk to the powers that be, the big muckety mucks who help us out with all of that stuff. And I think we're going to get to a point where we'll have some Old Dad FC gear. We're going to have Best Soccer Show gear, too. We got to get that together again. We haven't done any of that in 2020. So now 2021. And
it's on the list.
It's on the list. All right. We do have a caller. It is somebody you know. It's your friend Jonathan Taylor Tannenwald. Jared, he's on the line.
Is there a Jonathan Taylor Thomas like drop that can become Tannenwald's drop? Like there's nothing he's done that's that memorable that we would know.
No, Jonathan Taylor Thomas has done a couple.
God, I hope not.
Yeah, well, I was, he was on my Jared, did you know I have a radio show?
He wasn't on your show. The other guy was. Zachary Ty Bryan was.
We need to find somebody in American soccer we can call Zachary Ty something or other. Zachary Ty Shelter can call the show at any point if he wants to.
JTT, what's up, baby?
Yeah. So anyway, he was on my radio show, which again, don't know if you knew I had a radio show, but I do have a radio show. And I think I might have referenced Jonathan Taylor Tannenwald. They like crossing the streams. JTT, what's up, man? How are you?
Hello, fellas. Well, I couldn't call on the last show when you tried to manifest me, so I figured I'd call this.
So,
Jonathan, how you bring in the new year, man? There's not much American soccer going on, man. What's filling your days these days?
Well, I spent today watching two guys from my general neck of the woods play soccer against each other.
Yeah, Zach Steffen and Christian Pulisic. What'd you think?
Yeah, Zachary Ty Steffen getting a win for Manchester City.
It that was much more of a rout than I expected it to be, and it says something that Pulisic was again Chelsea's best player on the field with all the other talent they've got.
So I'll admit that I did not get a chance. I have in-laws in town. They took up a lot of my time. I didn't get a chance to watch it through and through. And I know, Jared, you got a chance to see
the things finally lined up. They finally had a Werner, Ziyech, and Pulisic front three, and it still didn't do anything. The thing that you've been hearing about since last season, and just didn't look that great the first game out. What was your impressions, Mr. Tannenwald?
Of Chelsea?
Yeah, those front three. Is that the right three to go with Pulisic?
I can't figure out why a team with that much talent is that bad and that inconsistent.
Well, they keep playing Pulisic on the right. That's part of the problem. I mean, he was successful last year on the left, and they keep pushing him out there on the right.
I wonder if Frank Lampard's in trouble. I mean, he's a Chelsea legend and all that.
Well, the Athletic is right now already. I saw the piece from them. His seat is getting warmer. I think you have to have expectations. Now, obviously, it's kind of easier to say, well, Chelsea, at least Chelsea's not Arsenal kind of stuff right now. But it can't be good that you've spent all that money and this is where they are, and this is how it's not working. And you're not beating the best teams in the league. You look at his record against the top 4 or 5 teams in the league, and it's atrocious.
Yep. It's and like I look at Havertz and Werner, and they've just got so much talent, and Ziyech too, but they got stomped today, absolutely stomped.
What was your take on Zach Steffen?
We had the flub early, but he won the game 3-1, and that's all that's going to matter in the long run. He didn't do much, he didn't have to do much. But the fact that he walked off the field with a win and almost a clean sheet, I thought he got stranded on the goal at the end. I didn't blame him too much for that. He walked off the field with a win. That's all he could ask for.
Well, more Philly stuff in the news today for soccer fans, seeing that who was there to pick up Brendan Aaronson at the airport? But one Mr. Jesse Marsh. What do you think about the coach picking him up from the airport?
I mean, look, it's clear that, on a lot of levels, it's clear that Jesse Marsh is very happy to have him. You've got the Red Bull connection with Ernst Tanner, having worked at Salzburg previously. Jesse Marsh knows Jim Curtin real well, so he knows exactly what he's getting in a player because they've talked a lot. I think it's a great destination for him, just as I think that Genk is a great destination for. Can I call him your colleague, Mark McKenzie? Am I allowed to do that or not?
Wait, what did you call him? What was the name?
Your colleague.
Oh, our colleague. Our
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to do that.
No, sure. Yeah. Check out Orange Slices.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at that. You're helping us plug the partnership. Helping us plug the friends of the show over there. Let me ask you this, John, before I ask you for a couple predictions for 2021. Do you think that Brendan Aaronson, I think he's talented enough. I don't think it's really going to matter in the long run, and he may not be in Austria for all that long based on that talent. But do you expect that Jesse Marsh will still be his coach when we get to the 2021-2022 season?
That is a fascinating question. And I'm not willing to say yes.
Okay.
I'm not willing to say no. I I sort of think that Marco Rose is the more likely candidate to get the Dortmund job than Jesse Marsch, but I wouldn't rule Marsch out.
It seems to be a popular opinion that he might be in place to do so.
And he's been mentioned. I think he's been mentioned in a couple of places, and obviously that he's got to take a step before you're going to start. He's going to be a candidate for these big jobs. He hasn't. First of all, he's won a domestic title, but he hasn't. It's not like he's just bulldozed.
No, come on. When you impress against Jurgen Klopp, that's going to do tons for your level of exposure.
He can run a system. That's the key thing. And Dortmund's got a system, and they've got a player in Erling Haaland who he knows. At least they've got Haaland for now, and you assume that sounds like they might for a little longer. And you've got a guy in Gio Reyna who you figure would be able to flourish under Marsch too.
Okay. I mean, that part of this is sort of that the Red Bull style of play is in vogue. And I'm not saying it won't be next year or the year after that. It might still be in vogue on some level. But, I don't want Jesse Marsch to be sort of saddled with system coach as his reputation. I want him to be respected because
he needs to leave Salzburg then, because
that's true.
He's a guy that's been in the system.
Though, Jason,
go, John.
I think Jared has a point there, and I think it's this: if you're a system coach who's a good manager of personalities, that can be enough at some levels of the game.
That's true. Yeah, okay. And if you look, if you lean into
and then it comes down to whether or not. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, if you lean into the system far enough, you're Marcelo Bielsa, and even if your team is wild and unpredictable and ships a ton of goals, you'll kind of get the love. I mean, obviously, if you're coaching at a big team, if you're at Dortmund or you end up at a top 4 team in England or somewhere like that, you have to win things. So there's that. Frank Lampard's learning that. Maybe Jesse Marsch should take over at Chelsea.
Oh God, sorry. No, I hope not for his sake. That's one I hope not for his sake. But Mark, you're a system coach who's able to work a locker room well, and it just comes down to how good of a talent either you or your front office goes and gets you.
Yeah,
and the odd comparison there won't surprise you to hear that I'm going this way. Almost the odd comparison there is Marsch in New York and Jim Curtin in Philadelphia. Jim will bristle at me calling him a system coach if he's listening to the show, I realize. But he's a coach who can run a system because Ernst Tanner does most of the playbook with the Union. He's a great manager of personalities in the locker room. We know this. And then it just comes down to what his talent is, and that's above his pay grade.
Okay, so Jonathan, talking about you bringing up the Philadelphia Union, obviously that's close to home for you. 2021 coming up. Mark McKenzie's situation is finalized. Is that finalized at this point? Is that being reported as finalized yet, John?
As far as I know, the deal is done. It is not all the way over the line yet. I suspect the holiday and the weekend had to do with that. But it's going to be done as far as I know, and it's just a matter of. Genk doesn't like to announce things until every little bit of everything is, every T is crossed and is dotted, and that's fine.
Okay, and then John, with no Aaronson, no McKenzie, give us a 2021 JTT prediction for the Philly Union. What's something that you think this year for 2021 that you think is going to happen around the Philadelphia Union that we can look forward to, whether it's positive, not as positive, just something that you have a prediction out there for this season?
Well, they're going to take a step back. I think that's clear because you lose a great center back and you lose a starting playmaker. What Ernst Tanner said at the end of the season, he was going to go shopping for a new number 10, which was a little bit of a surprise because people thought that Anthony Fontana was going to be the starter. But if they go out and buy a new 10, they have the potential to be very good. I think that the guy who's going to make the biggest impact in 2021, probably no surprise, is Jose Martinez, because he was as good as so many other players were in 2020. The biggest difference between 2020 and 2019 with the Union was Jose Martinez. coming in at defensive midfield and fixing a lot of the problems that Harris Medunian, and as good as he is, he's not the right kind of defensive midfielder for that system.
All right. Well, John, appreciate the phone call, and best of the new year to you. And we'll keep talking to you throughout 2021, I'm sure. So I appreciate it.
It's always my pleasure. I have one more prediction, and this is the one where I'm really going to stick my neck out. Ooh. If the Olympics happen, Katarina Macario will be on the U.S. team, and I'm really starting to think that Megan Rapinoe won't be.
Okay. Her choice or U.S. Soccer's choice?
Ultimately it's U.S. Soccer's choice, isn't it?
Yeah, but do you think that
maybe game in so long?
Yeah, exactly.
I think she's effectively not retired, but I think she's effective.
I think she knows. She can read that. She's got her book out. She's moving on to other things. Not to say she's not competitive. She doesn't have that spirit or that fight or anything like that. But
other stuff going on. She does. I appreciate the call, John. Thank you very much.
Pleasure, fellas. Happy New Year.
Jonathan Taylor Tannenwald, he stole one of mine. I was going to talk about Katarina Macario being on the Olympic team. And that's an 18-player roster, Jared. That's not like, we got 30 spots. Toss one out to the talented college girl.
But she's dual national, right?
She has received her citizenship, and it's, I think, presumed that she's going to play for the U.S. She's been in a camp.
To go similar to Greg Berhalter, you may need to give her that spot to cement that you want her to play for the U.S. national team.
No. Look, I don't. We can talk about the U.S. men's national team's approach to some of those things. And look, you have a Gold Cup and you have a Nations League and you get all this other stuff. There are opportunities in the women's national team world. You don't get a roster spot for the 18-player Olympic roster unless you are one of the best 18 players the country has, because they want to go.
I don't know. According to everything I'm reading, the U.S. doesn't have any of the top 20 players in the world.
Well, that's okay, because we go win things, right? I don't care if you recognize a single one of our individual players, because we go win everything. We just scoop up all those trophies. We're trophies hogs. That's what we are when it comes to the U.S. women's national team. So if Katarina Macario makes the U.S. women's national team for the Olympics, she does it on merit, and she does it in spite of some other talented players missing out. And she is a college player as of the moment. She has not yet played a professional soccer game. That doesn't mean as much in the women's game. You can be very, very good in college and go pretty quickly.
I think did Lindsay Horan, did she skip college altogether and go right to PSG, or was there a college year in there?
Lindsay Horan?
Yeah, I can't remember, because I know she went over young, and I can't remember if she did not.
She did not play in college. No.
Okay, because I think she went right to PSG after high school. Then I think that's the way it worked down.
It was famously.
It's not a very popular that path. The college path is still a play for the women's game in the U.S., and that might be part of the problem as you've seen the world catch up.
Okay, I don't think we want to open up that particular can of worms, but the reason that the college pathway is the pathway of the women's game is because do you know of a women's academy in the United States where you can go get a professional level education in soccer to become a pro?
I don't. No. I wouldn't be surprised if the new LA team does it though.
That we should be working towards that, right? We should be working to that, and we should.
No, but I mean, there's nothing stopping them from playing in academies overseas, which is I think is the worry. I think American players soon will start playing in academies in England.
Well, the rules still apply. The FIFA rules about player movement still apply, even if you're a female player. You can't leave your home country unless you have a passport for that country until you're 18. So
yeah, I mean, but there's guys like Jonathan Spector was able to do it. I mean, there's guys that have been able to do it in the past. Pulisic did it. There will be candidates in the American system that will have a passport and be able to do that.
Sure. Yeah,
and I think they're going to potentially get a leg up in the near future.
Well, maybe. I don't. I mean, again, sort of just talking about what the moment is now for the national team and where Katarina Macario is. Again, she's tore college soccer apart. She's clearly good enough to play, pretty much anywhere she wants to in the world on a professional level. And she's good enough for the national team in the near future, but she's still very much in a development situation. Jonathan's not even on the show and he's still chiming in. What are we doing here?
Hey, he's got all the facts, man. I don't.
All right. So yeah, he's chiming in with Macario and U.S. Soccer. We're waiting for her citizenship because they couldn't submit the FIFA paperwork until then. Now they're waiting on FIFA. She went to the Netherlands to train with the big squad and did not play because her paperwork had not come through. So there's that. All right. That was one of my predictions that now JTT has stolen. I'm perfectly okay with that. We'll come up with something else. Your phone number to call in and give us your 2021 prediction, 717-727-2378. That's 717-727-BEST. I do think there are a couple of other kind of current event things we need to talk about in American soccer, Jared. And the biggest one, and this is not fun to talk about, and I don't think either one of us bring an expert level of analysis to this, but MLS is going to execute their force majeure clause, and they're going to go back and go negotiations with the players union again. Third time in a calendar year that they're going to be sitting down at a table to negotiate.
And I apologize to make this political in any way, but I find this fairly equivalent to come end of November, beginning of December, all the triggers that the Trump campaign was pulling, everything that was entitled to them to do, they did. Yes. More power to them. Okay. You're allowed to do a bunch of these things along the way, recounts and stuff like that. I expected the owners to do this because why wouldn't businessmen renegotiate if they have the ability to? Like, do we really think they have the good faith not to enforce this clause if they can it's business, right? Sure. I think it's a poor decision on their part in terms of fan, community, player relationships. But from a business standpoint, they're thinking, how do we recoup costs that we lost last year?
Also, their bit. Okay. I know what you're saying, and look, the cynical view is, well, of course they did this. No one's surprised that they decided to execute this clause, and whatever. This is what business people do. But the relationship between them and the players, which then filters into the relationship between the owners and their fans. And I've said this before. I'm not original in this, but let's just reiterate: the relationship between a soccer club and its fan base is not a consumer relationship. Not really. I mean, it has the hallmarks of that. I buy a ticket, I go to the game, I buy your gear, but it's not that, right? We know it's more, it's deeper, it's emotional, it's got all kinds of different weird elements.
If a club had the choice between TV ratings money and ticket sales, they're going to pick TV money. That's always going to be the thing that they're going to go with.
Yeah, no, we obviously have these arguments too about how La Liga sets all their match kickoff times, or they used to, because people were going to the games more for the TV market in Asia than they were for the fan bases in Spain. And that was obviously selling out your local fan base for the big TV money. Major League Soccer is not in that position. I'm saying across the board, the relationship with the fan base. So if you go into this situation, you're like, well, look, we lost $1 billion in 2020 because of the pandemic, as Don Garber has been yelling from the rooftops. We need to renegotiate again. Not just are you, hey, renegotiating, that's the smart business move. Is it a smart business move if your fan base just gives you one of those because you're messing with this again?
No, they're drug dealers, Jason. They're drug dealers. They know they have a product that people are going to inject into their veins no matter what.
No, but MLS is like the guy who sells the skunk weed. Like,
they've got hundreds of thousands of people that say there's something till they die.
Yeah, but is it enough? Is that a critical mass of people that you can then piss off any portion of it at all, or take your product? Because
I don't think they care, because the players, they don't love even so much. I mean, sorry, the fans, they don't love the league. They love the players, and by virtue of that, the team. I think most players, they don't have when they select what to be on their back, they don't put the team's name again. They put a player's name on their back. That's how they that's who they bond with.
I think fans bond with the idea of the team, not the owner, not the coach, not the players. But
at the end of the day, I think a fan doesn't leave the team because they feel bad. They'd be letting down and turning their backs on the players that they care about. And the league knows that.
Okay. You're saying that the league has the fans over a barrel because the fans will only...
The players are the attraction, not the team.
No, I understand that, but no. What do you mean the fans are the attraction, not the team? I don't know what
the players are the attraction, not the team.
What does that mean? That doesn't make sense to me.
You go to watch players. You don't go to watch the club or the team.
No, but you watch players wearing that jersey. That jersey is the thing you care about, not the person in it.
I know. And when the players suck and they don't connect to the players, that's when fans turn off. They don't turn off the club because of what the club does. I shouldn't be a Galaxy supporter. Anschutz is an a-hole of a person politically.
But the problem is that with this move, you have now increased the possibility that there will be some sort of work stoppage. that the owners are going to lock the players out when the players don't agree to any change in the current deal, which is already a haircut off of what they were supposed to get at the beginning of 2020 when they negotiated a new CBA. And then the owners went to them and said, well, we're not making any money because of the pandemic, so can you take a pay cut? And the players are like, okay, I guess so. And now here they are again being told, hey, not only do you have to take another pay cut, but we could potentially tell you can't use your facilities. You won't have access to your health insurance. And I want this.
And here's where the players should no longer have ever in the future good faith with the owners. They really shouldn't, because the good faith move was taking a salary cut. That was a good faith move.
Have the owners? Okay, the owners gave the players free agency when they obviously had sort of the standing based on the single entity system to say, no, we don't have to do that, right? They created a system, and obviously it got laxer and more players became free agents under the new CBA, which, as we know, wasn't ratified. That free agency ruling still stayed into effect because we just had a bunch of players become free agents and they were on the 24 and 5 rule. So 24 years of age at least, and at least 5 years of experience in the league. So some of those things that the players got in the last CBA are still there, but clearly the pay cut is the biggest thing. And the problem is, and I say this from a fan's perspective and from a guy who talks about soccer and talks about MLS all the time, is that we are now, you said the players should not have any faith that the owners are operating on the level with them.
Their good faith meter is empty.
But the players don't have the savings to be able to withstand the work stoppage that they need to force the owner's hands. That's the problem. And it's been the problem for 25 years, right?
I think, in either way, this season, you were looking at the potential, in my opinion, here's a prediction for you, a potential collapse of MLS. If the owners don't enforce force majeure and try to find some way to make up the dividends of the loss last year, they may not fiscally be able to continue. Some of them will be fine. But at the same time, if you do enforce it,
stop. You're falling into a trap, right? You're falling into this. Well, some owners have a ton of money, and other owners don't have a lot of money, so it's harder.
Some teams make more money than others.
No, I understand that, but you're falling into a trap because, again, what is MLS? What is the whole structure of MLS based around?
Profit.
No, I'm saying, how is MLS organized?
Not losing profit.
MLS is organized as a single entity. For all intents and purposes, that is one company. So how can some clubs be losing or some clubs be missing out on revenue and some clubs be okay, but other clubs aren't okay when they're all supposed to share the risk across the board? They're all part owner of one company.
Within that, some of them invest in academies, some don't. They have different things they use their money on.
I understand that, but the league as a unit, negotiating with the players and taking this stand, well, we lost so much money, but then you say, well, some owners can handle it, some owners can't. The owners that are crying poverty, they need to get, I'm not saying you say this, but they need to get something off the players, or they need to find some way to recoup. No, that should come from the other people in the organization, other investors. If you're going to share this risk, and if you, I'm pissed off because they want it both ways, and they've been doing it for a very long time. They want to be able to say, well, we have this, we want to go win the international championship in CONCACAF, and we want to be one of the top leagues. We want to be a league of choice, right? And we got T-shirts that say the league of choice. But when it comes down to it, they don't want to spend the money to do it. And when it comes down to it, the players who aren't making that much money anyway relative to their peers around the world, they're the ones that have to eat it. Because the owners Because the owners didn't. I know.
The owners had a certain amount of money they were willing to spend on their MLS venture this last year, and they've used it. And to your point, these owners have more money they can put in. Almost all of them have enough money to put in and recoup the cost of a lot of this stuff. But they've only said, this much money I'm willing to spend on my little MLS adventure this year. Mm-hmm. And they lost on it. So now they're trying to figure out how they can get that money back. And like I said, either way, you were in danger of losing this league this year, because the other way is now they're forcing the force majeure, and now the players are probably going to strike. And the league may not be able to make it through that either.
Was what I'm saying. I don't know that the players have the leverage to strike based on what they have in the bank to get them through. They were talking it up last time, and it never even remotely got to that point.
You know what would help them have enough money to make it through? 20% more of their money last year.
Well, there you go. So the owners kind of, you put the screws to the players based on lost revenue, and they all have to take a pay cut. And by the way, it's 5%. And then when you get to the moment when you can execute, but there's a lot of legal things here that I don't want to get into. But having talked to some people on the radio show, it's interesting because normally force majeure isn't something you plan for. It's kind of like, well, it might happen, and so we put this in if there's an act of God. It's not usually like we know.
Let's take it down to brass tacks then. Is this a good use of force majeure? To take away the good faith, all this stuff last year, is this a force majeure type thing that they're going through right now?
I think this is a bad move on the owners.
That's not what I asked you. I asked you, is this pandemic that we're going through right now a qualified use of force majeure?
No, I think the players royally screwed up by agreeing to have this clause in their deal with the owners that they negotiated.
There's no way they could have the insight of this. People all around the world have these type of things in their contracts.
Jared, they negotiated this clause during the pandemic. So they knew we're in. I thought
it was all done by February last year.
No, this is the deal they signed in the summer to get back to playing. The players agreed to this in the summer. This is why I'm pissed because they knew that this was going to happen.
For some reason, I thought we had this nailed down. Be early spring last year.
There was no force majeure because there was no pandemic. The owners didn't ask for one. And normally force majeure is an insurance thing, not
what I'm saying is that force majeure is not something that's exclusive to this. People have this in their contracts at all different types of business levels around the world.
Sure, but not in a collectively bargained agreement between labor and owners in a sports context. That doesn't happen. It's just not a normal thing. Now, the other part of this that's interesting, and we'll finish this out because I don't want to rant for an entire show about contract law. But the other thing is interesting, and Jonathan Tannenwald jumped in again and said that MLS is organized to avoid antitrust lawsuits, which is exactly right? That's the reason they went with single entity in the beginning is so they could stave off antitrust lawsuits when the players were like, you can't depress our salaries. And the league's like, yes, we can. We're one company. We can't collude with ourselves. They lost Frazier versus MLS, right? The players lost Frazier versus MLS. If the players decide to decertify the union and meaning that there will be no more collective bargaining, they could conceivably sue the owners under the antitrust laws again, because now you have 25 years or 20 plus years of development, right? So when we talk about MLS, yes, it's a single entity legally, but those teams act more independently of each other than they ever have before, right? And the league introduced free agency willingly. So now you have teams competing against one another for player signings. If teams are able to compete against one another, you are de facto acknowledging that they are independent organizations in different.
Yeah. So what ability do they have to win that lawsuit if there is free agency?
The players?
Yeah.
Because the judge will say, well, you can't call yourself a single entity if teams are competing for player signings against one another. If they're bidding against one another for a player, well, then you effectively admitted that the LA Galaxy and the New York Red Bulls are two different.
I guess I was thinking from the other direction. The players can't claim that there is some kind of monopoly or something like that because there's free agency. You're saying the opposite side. They can't keep using antitrust laws to defend themselves as an organization because they put free agency.
I'm saying that Major League Soccer is no longer immune to antitrust violations if they are operating de facto as multiple companies rather than as one. That's what I'm saying. And I don't know that they would win. I have no idea about that. I'm just saying the possibility exists.
So basically, you're saying the players need to use a nuclear option.
That is a nuclear option for the players to use. 100%.
So the owners have used theirs. Now you're saying the players should use theirs. And where does that leave us as a league at the end of all this?
Players should do it. I honestly haven't gotten to that.
But that's where we're at. Like, what's going to happen to our league? Our league that a year ago, this time last year, we're like, this league is doing fantastic job, 25 years long. It's humming, selling league. Things are happening. Like, the attendance, teams are expansion teams, all this stuff that's really good. This team looked young, healthy, and vibrant. This league, excuse me, young, healthy, and vibrant. A year removed, we're talking about this thing may not exist.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of inconceivable to imagine. Now, you and I are old enough, and you're not that old, but we're old enough that we remember a time when you kind of did sweat whether Major League Soccer would make it another year. You were kind of like, oh my God.
I remember when Miami folded and Tampa Bay folded.
They shut down Miami and Tampa Bay. That was obviously a big deal. And that's deep in the history. But there were years, even through the middle of the 2000s, like 2005, 2006, into before, as soon as Beckham arrived, things changed a little bit. But for a long time,
Seattle,
it was like, oh my God, are we going to have a league? Yeah. And then Seattle showed up, 35,000 people went to their games and went, oh, we're good now. We've stopped worrying about the existence of MLS, but now we have to do that again. This is a shock to the system for me. right?
I have a question for the people in the chat then, if you want to get in. Are you worried about MLS still being here this time next year? Are you worried that there's going to be a season this year? At this point, I am.
Yeah, I think you have to be. I mean, at the very least, we have no idea when it's going to start because
the only thing I can say that's making me feel better about that situation is that our best 11 are in Europe already.
Yeah, we do have that, right? Let's just thank God that.
If you ever want to see a feeding frenzy for American talent, check a year from now if MLS isn't around.
Yeah, but the knock-on effect on that is that all of those leagues, all those MLS academies shut down. Those players are homeless. Not only will it'll be a feeding frenzy for the top-level players and those that are 18 and can move and those that have passports, but what happens to the 15-year-old kids who are in the middle of trying to become pros? They're going to go find another club? And now MLS, remember, MLS is currently running our developmental system at the highest level.
We just changed that. U.S. Soccer is no longer in charge.
Absolutely. And I have a friend of mine who played soccer in California as a kid in the 80s and in high school. And he's a soccer guy, but he's not really tuned in with the world of soccer, but he knows my job. And we were talking the other day and he's like, so I was talking to my boy about the Development Academy and how that's really done a great job. And now we have McKinney and Pulisic and he knows this stuff casually. And I was like, well, yeah, but the Development Academy shut down. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah,
that's a little simplistic answer. You know, you were baiting the hook with that one.
No.
That shut down, but you know that there's a plan to replace it.
Of course, I explained to him right away the Development Academy shut down and now MLS runs that. But my point is that the DA, for all the stuff it got wrong, and it got some stuff wrong, and people were annoyed by U.S. Soccer quite a bit, they got a lot of stuff right because look at what's going on right now. Look at the players we got in Europe that are players that came through clubs that were attached to the Development Academy. So, you know, we that dream of winning the World Cup one day is going to die.
Here's what I wonder. Do you think in the MLS coverage sphere, with so much of MLS's coverage being in-house, do you think there's anyone that's going to have this conversation on other on the website? Is there going to be a think piece from anyone about this? Is there going to be a podcast about this?
It's a good question. I don't
honestly, think so. Can they even touch it? Can they touch it as creators?
Again, I have friends.
That's a tough one, dude.
I have friends at MLS.
So do I.
Soccer.com. I would imagine that they would be first concerned about their livelihoods, and then maybe they would think about editorially if they could talk about it. They got to be.
I'm saying I'm glad that platforms like ours, Orange Slices, and like The Athletic, I'm glad that those outlets are there because I'd be worried about the watered down content I might be getting otherwise.
Okay,
support your locals, folks.
I don't want to get into I don't. The landscape is
Sirius XMFC.
Sirius XMFC. Did you butcher that or did you get it right?
I said it. What do you mean? I said it.
I don't know.
I know your call letters or whatever you call them.
I'm so jealous about that all the time. It's like, Michael Dwyer says, I don't think the league will collapse. The investors have enough money and there's enough infrastructure that they won't want to cut bait. There may not be a season if there's a strike, though. And I just worry about the step backwards we take with the popularity of the league and the growth of the league and the money, because we're seeing this. The owners are like, we lost all this revenue. We got to cut back on salaries. If there's no season, if the players strike, are they going to be like, yeah, let's keep running our academies at $5 million a year? No, they're not going to do that. They're going to cut those budgets too. They're going to hack off all the limbs they can to keep the basic operation going. And then we're going to rewind to 2008 again. Do you want to go back to 2008? I don't want to go back to 2008. I mean, I do want to.
In 2008, the Galaxy was a good team, so there's part of me that wants to go back. Actually, they were a terrible team, but then 1 year later they got good.
Yeah, that's okay. You're right. That
was year 2 of Beckham. Wasn't great. It wasn't a great time for us.
Yeah, I remember that. That was the AC Milan year, right? That was like
I can't remember if they won 2009. I think they won or lost to RSL. I can't remember. Somewhere right in there.
Landon got his penalty kick in 2009. If you remember.
Yeah. So listen, they're better off than they were now, though. Still, even I think. Yeah.
But unfortunately, this is Los Angeles. I need more than talent. I need stars. Enjoy the party. Enjoy the party.
All right, we
wait. Does he say enjoy the party twice?
No, I said enjoy the party.
I didn't hear it. I guess your impression's so good I couldn't even tell the difference these days.
Me pulling off. What's his name? That's the actor's name. I always forget.
You know? Oh man, off the top of my head, I forgot.
He's the guy
British guy. Oh, I think Nicky's got it.
The guy who dances around in.
I'll find it.
In Oh my God,
He's Dr. Ock. He's Dr. Ock.
He also dances around the room in Boogie Nights when they're buying drugs.
I think of him as Dr. Octopus. That's it.
Well, he's also Doc Ock. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 100%. What? Oh, Nikki is looking it up. He didn't know off the top. Of course, he doesn't know off the top of his head. He's Nikki Soup and
Isn't it Anthony something or like Andre or like, oh man, I can't remember, dude.
He's like an Italian extraction, but grew up in London, but ends up doing like a Mexican accent in Matador for some reason. Good actor.
Yeah.
All
right, so you want to do predictions, man?
Yeah, sure. You got anything that you want to throw off the top here? I mean,
I've got a DEFCON 2 kind of prediction. That's just like DEFCON 2's that's not good.
Okay, DEFCON 2 is pretty high on the DEFCON level. You want to go DEFCON
and this is probably that you're going to call me that old school American soccer. I'm always scared guy. That guy. I'm not good enough for anything.
You're bringing the black clouds. Is that what you're doing?
Maybe. What you got, Nick?
It's Alfred Molina.
Alfred Molina.
I knew it started with an A. All right. Molina. My prediction. Oh man, I don't even like saying it out loud. Is that both Io Akinola and Gerald DK don't join the U.S.
Oh man, what is wrong with you? Like, why would you throw that into the world?
Listen, you want to talk about takes? I got takes.
But don't have a take just to have a take. You really don't think either one of those players is going to choose the United States of America? For what possible reason?
I think Io Akinola may just want to play for Canada. And Daryl DK, if he goes overseas, which it looks like he's about to.
He's about to. There's rumors already?
What, there was talk of him. Was it Bruges, I think?
I have
or was it France? Or maybe been somewhere in France.
For Dale
I believe one of those. Freddie, I'm not sure if Freddie's in the chat. He could probably tell us. But I believe I read that one of those two teams was interested in him. But if he goes overseas, what's tying him to America at that point?
I mean, the fact that he grew up here and played college soccer here and got his start here. I mean, what do you want me to do? I can't.
I'm just thinking. Everyone's talking about Josh Sargent's the guy, right? Everyone says Josh Sargent's the guy.
No.
Josh Sargent is the guy that's more informed, and Greg Berhalter's boy.
No, this is you rebelling against the Josh Sargent train, such as it exists. I don't think anybody.
I'm acknowledging that a train exists. I'm saying Daryl DK can see it exists.
No. But the Josh Sargent train is like one of those miniature trains that goes around the amusement park that the little kids ride. That's the Josh Sargent train. That's
if I'm Daryl DK,
that's not the. I'm just saying, it's not the runaway train from that movie with Denzel Washington. It's a small.
If I'm DK, I'm thinking, do I want to compete with the poster boy who's done nothing yet is still the guy? And do I want to compete with Giassi Zardes, which is outperforming me in MLS? And do I want to be the third guy, or do I want to try to make something happen? I think it was with Ghana. Is that where he's from originally?
You don't even know you don't even know the other country.
I believe it's Ghanaian.
But you don't even know. This is what I'm saying. Like, how can you possibly? Now, it's not Ghana, by the way. You're wrong.
What is it?
It's Nigeria.
Excuse me.
So
I'm sorry, I got it wrong.
The man was born in the United States.
You had to look it up. You didn't know.
I did look it up because I didn't want to be wrong. Because I want to risk being wrong. Because I thought it was Nigeria and you were wrong, but I wanted to double check.
I said I think.
But
I have qualifiers.
No, but my point is, you're saying he's not going to.
If you listen to the Best Soccer Show for truths from Jared Dubois, you're at the wrong place.
Okay. My point is, you're making this clearly based on a one-sided perception of the U.S. end of it, and rather than taking into account what he might be facing if he decided to play for Nigeria. How do you know there's any chance he plays at all for Nigeria or gets a call up for Nigeria?
I don't, but I would be pissy if I was him. And I'm just I'm a linebacker in MLS.
He hasn't done
like some pasty dude over there in Europe is getting the spot, and I'm not for some reason.
Look, he scored 8 goals in Major League Soccer. He's been a pro for exactly
who gets more run? Who gets more run in the American fan base, Josh Sargent or DK?
First of all, you're presuming that Daryl DK pays any attention to what any of us dummies are saying. You don't know that he is. How do you know?
You're telling me the players don't care what people think?
No, I'm saying that Daryl DK is a guy who is 20 years old, who's probably not at the point of like getting angry that he's not getting love because he's not done anything yet. He's been in one camp and got injured. How can you possibly be like, well, screw those people, they don't rate me when you haven't done anything yet? Like he's enough on the come up still that he may.
But Josh Sargent hasn't done anything yet, and yet he's the guy everyone is the heir apparent.
How many pro minutes does Josh Sargent have compared to how many pro minutes Daryl DK?
How many goals does he have? That's all I care about.
Oh my God! you're talking about playing in the Bundesliga versus Major League Soccer. You're not going to take that into account in this situation?
No.
Okay. I don't know why that's a factor here, right? Now, I understand your logic that if Daryl Dike makes a move abroad, it lessens his ties with the United States. Except we're not talking about a guy who grew up in Nigeria and had an American dad and could play for the U.S. if he wanted to. We're talking about an American kid who happens to also be Nigerian and may have that option. So this is not one of those things where you need to really push him hard towards the U.S. men's national team because he's culturally tied to somebody else.
Man, I'm just throwing some predictions out there. You don't have to get so hot about it.
Okay.
Throw a prediction out there. What you got? You fence sitter? What you got?
What do you mean? I'm not. What am
You're
I
going to be like, Philly's not going to be as good as last year or something like that. That's going to be your hot take.
Oh, was that your Jonathan Taylor Tannenwald?
No, that's my Jason Davis. That's the kind of take you make.
That's what he said. He said that on this show. You set him up for it, actually. So
yeah, I did. But like, what's your take going to be?
Okay, my take is that let's see. There's a lot of different things happening right now in terms of the potential for a Major League Soccer season, but I'm going to avoid that because I don't want to get into the negatives about the MLS season. I do think that there's going to be at least one other player. You would put Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic, Giovanni Reyna, Serginho Dest. These are all American players at elite clubs. Conrad De La Fuente, yes. Put him in there too, right? So one of the other players who is currently attached to a second-tier club in Europe, and you could say Brendan Aaronson. I mean, I could be specific about this.
Terrence Boyd.
Brendan Aaronson is going to need a little bit more time to get baked in. Obviously, Mark McKenzie needs to get his feet wet. We obviously know that. Okay,
so you maybe like an Odasawi or an Anthony Robinson.
I'll change to this. By the end of 2021, we will have another full-time starter at an elite Champions League level club. Now, you want me to be specific? I can say Chris Richards is going to be a starter by the end of the year. I can go with that.
Yeah, he's already there, so I guess that's a potential. I thought you meant more like a move.
No, there will be a move too. I think there's going to be a move for an American player who's going to end up at a place like AC Milan. Real Madrid's possible.
Maybe like a Busio or something like that, you mean?
No, well, I'm thinking that you could end up with a player who's already there, but Busio has been on the radar. We know Brian Reynolds is likely to end up at Juventus, so that's not done yet. He's not going to play for them out of the gates. They're going to play. They're trying to figure out a loan for him, which I think is the holdup for why it's not announced yet because the Cagliari loan fell through. Yeah,
it's unfortunate that Ledesma did his ACL. I mean, he was going to get some time at PSV, which is a pretty good showcase too. So that's unfortunate there. I can see something like that happening. I just don't see the next obvious one. There were some obvious ones for a while there. I just don't know which the obvious one to go next. But listen, who saw Odasawi becoming an instant starter, with Wolves? I mean, that wasn't something that was on my radar even 2 months ago. Yeah. So these things happen fast, a lot of them. And even Weston McKennie at the beginning of the season, I was hoping he'd get 10 to 15 appearances this year total, all competitions.
Yeah, we all undersold him, right?
Yeah, it's not because I don't believe in Weston McKennie. I just don't believe in how big foreign clubs see Americans.
Right, I think that's changed. I really do. I mean,
and I'm surprised it's Pirlo, to be honest with you, because I did not get the impression that he was very impressed with this league when he was here.
Now, I don't think he was, but I also think he understands how development happens and works. And I think he recognized that Weston McKennie, coming from the Bundesliga, was going to be a player with the tools necessary to compete at the level he needed him to for Juventus. Now, Juventus is, by the way, not burning up Serie A right now. They won today.
Yeah, I think they're moving to 5th, I think. They were in 7th at the beginning of the weekend, I believe.
7th, and I think they moved to the 5th. So they still got some work to do because they're not where they are accustomed to being. And there was questions around Pirlo. And by the way, the worst thing that could happen for McKennie is that Pirlo gets canned at any point. Yeah. I do think that he's the guy backing him. Whereas, at Chelsea, if Lampard goes, you could argue that might actually be better for Pulisic if he gets lined up, correctly. So there's a couple of things there. Jonathan Tannenwald again. Yunus Musa to move, possibly. Valencia player right now. Could be on his way to a bigger club.
Just signed with them, but we always know that oftentimes that's so the club can get more money for the player on the move. We saw that happen with them.
You want one here? Okay. I know that this is a reach in 2021. Okay, I'm going way.
Okay, and then Nikki's got a prediction after this.
I'm going way out. Yeah, we'll get Nikki soup and sausage. The transfer record for an American player gets broken in 2021. You want a take? You want a bold statement? Because right now, what is that record?
I don't think that happens this year, just because I don't think Reyna leaves this year. I think he leaves after the World Cup, and I think that's the only player out there right now that would potentially eclipse that mark.
Yeah, I know, but I'm taking the field here. This is my prediction.
Okay.
Taking the field. So yeah, but you're right. KY's got Tim Weah moving. Leo with financial problems. That's a very good prediction because it's probably going to happen. So
at least he's getting hot at the right time.
Yeah, that's true. Nikki Soup and Sausage, jump in here, my boy. Go ahead.
All right, so I'm typically not the positive one around here, but I will be today.
Okay.
FC Cincinnati are going to win the treble this year.
Oh, no.
And that is going to be their third wooden spoon.
By treble, is that like some kind of Yelp score they get? Like, because I can't see it being the one I know is a treble.
You know what Nikki said before he came on the air? Before we're waiting on you to turn off the gas in your fireplace or whatever it was you were doing. Nick said it's going to be so FC Cincinnati that we're going to have a brand new stadium and not playing it because the league will be shut down.
Wait. What treble are you talking about? Because you're not qualified for the CCL
No.
as far as I know.
You didn't hear the
punchline, and you just based on the punchline.
They're going to win their third wooden spoon in a row.
I don't know what a wooden spoon is.
Wooden spoon is
last place. You wouldn't know, Mr. Galaxy fan wins games all the time.
The wooden spoon I know is the one I got hit upside the head with as a kid.
The Galaxy have a wooden spoon from like 2 years ago.
What is it?
It's the last place team in the league. You get the wooden spoon. You're the worst team in MLS. You get the wooden spoon.
It couldn't have been 2 years ago because we had it.
3 years ago then. 8 years ago then. Whatever.
Yes.
I sound like the guy in Major League. I wish we had.
You didn't know that, Jared.
I had no idea. I also don't know what the Brimstone Cup is. I don't know what like.
You just don't want to admit it. You do too.
It's one of a couple teams somewhere in the middle of the country play for it.
This is the how you hate on the flyover country part of the country or whatever.
Cascadia Cup. I know that one. Like what other awards are there in this league that I don't know about? There's got to be some other like weird awards that are out there. Like who else plays for things that aren't important?
Oh, there's a couple of dumb rivalry trophies. The one between Toronto and Columbus is called the Trillium Cup.
We play for this weird one in LA. It's called the MLS Cup.
No, you don't. But you don't.
You used to.
You say that, but it's not true.
My trophy cabinet says otherwise.
When's the last time that happened? How long ago was that?
More recent than more recent than all but two clubs in the league.
I guess that's
three.
True.
Dang it, three.
Toronto, Seattle, Columbus. That's the list.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Ha.
Yeah, but you suck right now,
I agree.
You haven't even figured out your damn coach. Where's your coach?
He was just on holiday. It's going to be, I think, tomorrow or Tuesday. We're going to hear Greg Vanny.
And
that's my prediction for 2021. Greg Vanny is the coach for LA Galaxy.
And Pavone. You gonna sign Pavone?
Man, I really thought that when they agreed to terminate the negotiations, that was just a tactic by LA. But it's after the first now, so I think that triggered a few different things in this that aren't beneficial to the Galaxy.
Yeah, So there's a lot of things that need to happen.
So that's an open DP spot for the Galaxy, though. I mean, there has been talks about them going after Modric or something like that. I haven't heard that in months, though. But I don't know if that's the right play either. I don't know.
Well, you know who just terminated their contract with Atletico Madrid?
Was it Diego Costa?
Yeah. Do you want Diego Costa? Do you want to pair him with?
I already have one striker that can. I need someone who can get the ball to a striker. That's what I need.
No, Costa's going to play in the Premier League or something. He's not going to come to Major League Soccer right now. But it would be fun. I think that would be excellent to see Diego Costa.
Listen, anytime LA has an open DP spot, it's fun for the league. But here's the thing. Who's going to come to a league if they don't know there's a season? That's got to hurt the negotiations at this time of year.
There are some players who have already signed, and I guess that's good because at least there'll be some new talent. What happens if the league shuts down? Can you do business? Can you trade Tam and Gam and Ham when you don't have an idea when the season's starting? I mean, all of that. All of that is out there, I think.
Man, I'm just it's a tough time right now because if you're Austin, I mean, what does this feel like for you? You're about to play your first season. Everything you know about that you've been preparing for. I mean, what do you do at this point? You're trying to sign players. You don't have a full roster yet. How do you get players to sign with you?
Yeah, I don't know.
All of a sudden, Joe Corona's a starter. Never mind. He's in Houston now.
Yeah, he's in Houston. They didn't sign him quickly enough, and he signed with Houston because they drafted him.
That Corona's a hot commodity.
Yeah, everybody wants a good Corona right now. Okay, we should on the show before we get out of here lock in our national team predictions. You got some things happening, Jared. You think this I mean, presumably the schedule is going to be full, there's Nations League, there's the Gold Cup, there's the Olympics, provided they qualify, and that could be a prediction too. And there's qualifying starting in September.
I'm saying my U.S. national team prediction is that if there is an Olympics, the USA makes the semis.
Okay, so do you think they'll medal? Because I guess you would have to win a third place game in order to medal.
It's really going to depend on the matchup. I couldn't tell you, man. I'm gonna say just a semi. That's the best I can give you. I'm not sure.
Well, I think it's really. I think I'm very high on the possibility, and I think I want to go with you on that. The problem is I just have no idea what the roster is going to look like. Like I don't know how many of these and
also this is the roster, the Olympic and Gold Cup. This is the roster that will be most affected by MLS having some kind of work stoppage.
That the qualifying team for the Olympics would absolutely be screwed. Look, they could play. I presume they can play. They might just not be informed, right? They might not be.
Yeah, I'm sure they can play for their national team if your club's like on strike, but I don't see what that would do. Why that would interfere? But I don't have the legal prowess to rule on that.
It would just mean that they wouldn't necessarily be in the best form, and because qualifying happens without FIFA putting it on their calendar, meaning you don't have to release your players if you're a club team. It's always a struggle to get a good team together for the U.S. men to go qualify. They got to qualify.
Good call, though. Their contracts are held, and they usually have to be released by their clubs. I'm not sure how that works out for a international call if it's not on a window.
Yeah,
that's weird. I'm not sure.
Gold Cup. Get a Gold Cup prediction? I mean, it's going to be another dicey kind of. What is?
I don't think we win it. I think that roster is probably going to be the most watered down because there's not really anything to play for on it. You're playing for the Olympic medal. You're playing for qualification in the other two rosters. That Gold Cup. Now, granted, the qualifying got pushed so late in the summer that you may get a few of those guys that would be on your qualification roster into that Gold Cup, but I don't really want them to stress it. I really don't want them to. I don't care if we qualify for it or not. Is this the Champions League one? Confederations Cup bid for this one? There is no Confederations Cup. They killed it. It's dead.
Oh, okay. It's murdered. It's done.
All right.
So that's not even a thing. Frank says the U.S. men don't make the Olympics. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to make the Olympics. Let's see.
If MLS gets up to a rough start, they may not. I mean, you're going to have players that are in form then.
That's possible. All right. As for the full senior A squad that gets together, we know they're going to get together for the qualifiers starting in September. You got 3 in September, 2 of them against the qualifiers from the other part of CONCACAF, the minnows, we call them the minnows, although Canada could be one of those teams, and they've got some talent. Then you have Honduras in September, then 3 games in October against Jamaica.
My U.S. national team main qualification roster prediction, Jordan Morris gets no more than 3 starts this year.
Well, you have 8 games? You have 8 games. So you think he'll only start 3 of those?
I think that there's a section of the year where he may I think by the first games of the season, he might see some starts. But I think the competition in Europe and combined with what's happening in MLS may make it so that he is not a starter. And also, listen, there might just be better players coming up in Europe that are going to push him out.
Okay.
I think Jordan Morris doesn't get more than 3 starts this year.
All right. Look, I'm going to be positive here. When it comes to qualifying, I think they're going to start off qualifying 3-0. I think they're going to start off with 3 wins, although they got to go to Honduras to do that third one, which is not going to be super easy. And there is a betting in period for learning how to do CONCACAF for some of these players who are young. I also think it's possible that they are 5-0 going into the game against Costa Rica in October.
So that includes a Mexico win in your 5-0.
No, because they don't play Mexico until the 7th game, excuse me.
Oh, okay. I thought it was before that.
Yeah. So it goes qualifying team, Honduras. The first one of those qualifying team games is on the road. Home to a qualifier, Honduras, that's September, in Honduras. Then home to Jamaica, away to a qualifying team, this is October now, and then home to Costa Rica. Then it's home to Mexico and away to Jamaica to close out the November schedule, and that's everything that happens in 2021. So let me just get your thought here. So you have 1 road game against a Central American team and 1 road game against a Caribbean team. Otherwise, it's qualifiers and then home to Costa Rica and Mexico. What is their record? How many points do they have out of those? What is that? Again, 8 games before the end of 2021? How many points?
8 games. I would go. See, assuming 4 of those are home, 4 of those are away. I'm just guessing. I don't have a schedule in front of me.
Oh, I just did it. I just did it for you, but okay. Yes,
I know, but you're not reading the chat I'm sending you either.
Oh.
I would say 15 points.
Okay. All right. Let's wrap this up. I think you're probably pretty close. What we'll do is take your predictions in the chat. Send us your predictions on Twitter at Besties Soccer. Let us know what you think is coming in 2021. Obviously, we're going to be rolling on here. We'll have a midweek show. We'll be back next week. Hit us up on Patreon, patreon.com/thebestsoccershow. Get in the Slack. Join up with all the besties. What else, Jared, before we get out of here?
That's just it. Check us out on Patreon. That's where everything's going down these days.
All right. Do that, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Later, guys. Bye.
Danger zone! Damn, Tom. You're gross.
The horror show.
What are we doing?
It's incredible.
We've got to coordinate. Okay, this is the guy behind the guy behind the guy. Who asked those questions?
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me. You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
Eddie, what have you done for me lately?
Michael freaking Orozco Fiscal.
Jay Rodius.